Deer, peacocks and emus, oh my! Did you know that in the later 1800s the Bendigo Botanic Gardens was the closest thing Bendigo ever had to a zoo? Today I'll be showing you around the Botanic Gardens and Garden for the Future, which is located just a short drive from the centre of Bendigo. Almost as old as Bendigo itself, the Bendigo Botanic Gardens, White Hills, is one of the best public gardens in our region to visit, as there is plenty to do, see and enjoy. The Bendigo Botanic Garden was planned during the early days of the gold rush in 1851, making it around 170 years old. The gardens are now listed on the Victorian Heritage Register due to its historical significance. Behind me is the Arch of Triumph, which was built in 1925. It displays the names of 65 servicemen who served in World War I. It was built out of brick and cement, costing only £200 at the time, which is equal to $14,000 today. The arch is listed on the Victorian Heritage Register and stands as a permanent memorial to our brave local soldiers. So at the front we have our annual display. At the moment we've got poppies and pansies in there. In the next few weeks we'll actually be changing that up, so around Christmas time we'll have a completely different display out the front. Walking through the arch, on our left and right we have perennial borders, which are a constant display. At the moment we've got some spireas and salvias that are flowering, but any time of year that you come here there's always something flowering. For those of you that don't know, a Botanic Gardens is a collection of documented plants. So before the arch was built, these two Moreton Bay figs behind me, which are huge, were thought to be the entrance to the Bendigo Botanic Gardens. They're around 160 years old, and if you're feeling energetic, you may even want to have a climb. Tucked away here, keeping an eye on the place, is a deer. It represents deer that used to be here many years ago. If you come and look at him at Christmas, we'll have his antlers and a red nose on him. Behind me we have the National Lavender Collection, which is a display of about 81 different lavenders. It was donated by the Yulong Lavender Farm. It's flowering at about midsummer. It's the only place in the country that you can come and see all the different varieties of lavender at one time. Through here we have the Victorian Goldfields collection. So if you're mining back in the 1800s, these are some of the plants that would have been available. So through here on the paths that are representing the gold rush era, we have some really nice lavenders that are flowering at the moment, as well as our lilac. We're here at the first of two grape arbours. These were reconstructed after we found some old photographs of what this area used to look like. If you come back in autumn, these grapevines look spectacular with all their red leaves. Bendigo is known for its wine and still is known for its wines. As you walk through, you'll notice that the grapevines growing in here are all labelled with the different varieties. So this is our National Trust listed tree, the Kai apple. It's a great place for kids to come and explore. We've also got the letterbox, which is a representation of the cottage that used to be here at the gardens. Another popular area in our gardens is the children's play space. It was loosely designed based on Alice in Wonderland, so that's why I've got the thrones over there. This award-winning area was created by our own in-house designers. So back in the day we used to have emus and kangaroos, even monkeys. So this aviary is just a continuation of being able to have animal in the Botanic Gardens. Unfortunately, because of COVID restrictions, we've had to have the aviary closed. However, you can walk around the outside of it and get a pretty good view into it. We'll be opening the aviary as soon as we're allowed to. Here at the Bendigo Botanic Gardens, we've got lots of different trees that come from right around the world, such as Africa, Europe, America, and obviously our Australian ones as well. So up behind me we have these little boxes in the trees. They're for the microbats. Try to keep the mosquitoes under control here, so that's what those little boxes are for. So here we have one of the most significant parts of the Bendigo Botanic Gardens. So originally the Bendigo Creek was a very long, windy creek that wound all the way through Bendigo. So during the gold rush it had to be straightened out, and so this part here is the last remaining section of the creek, so it's very, very significant to our local Dja Dja Wurrung people. The Bendigo Botanic Gardens features an eclectic mix of exotic and native trees. Many original 19th century plantings still exist. So this tree here is one of the other National Trust listed trees that we have here at the Botanic Gardens. It's the Torrey pine. At the moment we're trying to collect seeds from it so that we can continue to grow it on, but however the cockies tend to beat us to the seeds. In the early 1900s, this Edwardian pavilion was constructed. It has an Edwardian style garden bed with hedges and cottage gardens around it. Today it's used a lot for weddings and different bookings like that. People love to have picnics in there, and it's just a really nice, quiet, peaceful area to sit and have lunch if you like. Now we've exited the heritage side of the gardens and heading towards the garden for the future. But we're standing here today on land that's going to be created into our central hub area. It's going to have cafe, visitor centre and a wetlands area. We're going to have predominantly Indigenous plants, and construction is going to be starting very, very soon in this area. Welcome to the Garden for the Future. This was built in 2018. It was built to match Bendigo's climate now and into the future. One thing that people are always asking us about here in the Garden for the Future are the pink boxes behind me. Eventually, this hedge in here is going to grow up over them, and it'll provide a space where you can just look through and see the different sections of the gardens. So as you walk through the Garden for the Future, you'll notice 44 separate picnic lawns. Great areas for having picnics. Behind me is the purpose-built stage where we hold different functions and events such as concerts, musical theatres and plays and other performances like that. So there's a lot of different spaces that you can have a look at in the Garden for the Future, and there's always something different that's flowering. We think that especially though in the autumn, a lot of things that are in flower and it's looking really good. And behind me here we've got the mint bush that's flowering at the moment and it's looking spectacular. Thanks for joining me on my guided tour of the Bendigo Botanic Gardens. Make sure you come down and have a look at the plants and have a play on the playground and just spend some time to relax and enjoy the surrounds. Join in the fun. Simply share your photos on Facebook or Instagram by tagging @Bendigo Botanic Gardens and #ExploreBendigo.